People from the World War II were heroes, and they should have been heroes. When we came home, the attitude was, where you been? You've been around Asia and seen things? They didn't criticize us. Not like you going to Vietnam when you got criticized. But nobody talked about Korea. It was like a thing never happened in your life, the 4 years you spent. And we never talked about it. We never talked to our family about it.
May 11th, we were getting ready to leave the one city to head to the next city. We were towards the back of the regimental convoy, and we were moving from that one town to the other. A couple minutes later, the world went black. We ran over an IED. Our vehicle, which weighed 38 tons, I heard, went anywhere from 3 to 4 feet in the air, and it was engulfed in flames. But for some reason that day, I decided to sit on the other side of the vehicle, because on the other side of the vehicle where I normally sit, all my friends passed away. So that's one reason I'm a firm believer things happen for a reason.
I got to my first duty station. It was Fort Knox, Kentucky. And I was there about a month. And I was out on a scene doing it, but I don't know, something had been stolen out of a tank, because at the time that was the home of the tankers. And I did my MP report, and I did everything I was supposed to. And out comes a military police investigator. And we talked, and little did I know that he went back to the MP station and said, you know that at the time my name was Delaney. He said, you know that Private Delaney, she's got her act together. I think we need to bring her into MPI. Well, looking forward, I did get into MPI. I became a military police investigator. But that MPI agent that went out to the scene soon became my husband. So that's how my husband courted me.
We were with the Army 173rd Airborne Division at Dak To in 1967 for the Thanksgiving offensive. And I tell my wife this, and it's the best meal I've ever had in my life at Thanksgiving in '67. We've been eating sea rations for the entire time that we were there. And the Army actually brought in Hueys filled with turkey and dressing and mashed potatoes and great vegetables. And even with the red Vietnamese dust, it was just wonderful after comparing it with the sea rats we'd been eating. And honey, you make fantastic Thanksgiving dinners, but that was the best.
I was wondering what story to tell, and a friend of mine, his name's Eric Williams. I met him at AIT, which is Advanced Individual Training, in June of 2007. 5 years later, I learned that he had been killed in action and kept a blog. I got to read several of the stories, and this is his last blog post. This deployment is coming to an end, and in a few days we will be on a plane back to the United States to rejoin our friends and family and try to readjust to a certain semblance of what we think life should be. The truth is, everything has changed. We collectively have changed. We collectively have been granted access to something few ever see, or choose to see for that matter. We have bared witness to the atrocities of war, and we have thrust ourselves into the midst of chaos in order to do something so important, so visceral, that few will ever understand what it means. 6 days later, on July 23rd, he was in a tent on his way home from Afghanistan when a mortar round landed inside of his tent and failed to detonate. Without hesitation and with no regard to his personal safety, he threw himself upon the projectile as it detonated, shielding his brothers from the blast and saving 7 men.
When I came home, the first thing my little sister asked me was if I killed anybody. I said, okay, we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk for a couple minutes. That's not exactly how you welcome someone home. But she didn't know. She was nervous. She was very nervous. She didn't know how to react to me. I was a different person than I was. I had a hard time getting back to work. So I worked for the Red Cross. I was working for the Red Cross before. They were gracious enough to find a temporary person for my job for the year that I was gone. And then when I returned home, you know, we had cake and we had Sprite and it was great. And then get back to work, right? Start answering your emails, start making your phone calls, start being a normal civilian. I didn't know how to do that anymore. That was the hardest part. It was so difficult.
When I came home, it took me 15 years to talk about what I had seen and done until my boys got old enough to ask questions. So my suggestion to you is this. Everything that you've seen and done, talk about it. Write it down if you don't want to talk about it. Have somebody type it up for you if you can't type yourself, and let your family know what you've been through, because this is history for your family. And you would be surprised after doing all of this how much ease and how much better you're going to feel about it, because you've been able to divulge things that you probably couldn't do before. So write it down, give copies to all your family. It's your history, and be proud of it.